Morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the Funkable Operator Podcast, episode 43. Jay Funkadelic in the place to be on the MIC. Dropping some hip hop heat in the near future. Coming out with that new album that nobody knows about. Was called Funk Feels Forever. It's going to be in the making starting next month, so get ready for that to happen. How many of y'all be thinking about getting infatuated to a Latin chick? This is my own topic I'm talking about with woman. Because the track that I did back then was Women Are Good For Nothing. You know, you treat them real dirty, getting very nerdy. The times that I love to listen to hip-hop music is when I take it from the underground, the mainstream, and not the trap or the drill, the boom bap, it's where it's at. You know what I'm saying? You know how to rap, you just gotta go with the wordplay. Watch some Dr. Seuss flicks. Do what you can in life. Don't make a fool out of your goddamn self. A lot of people are gonna really disrespect you if you try to rap and you don't even sound good enough, because a lot of old people that are older than you are gonna really boo you off stage. Because they're gonna be standing there like a statue looking at you crazy, and they don't wanna be part of your actions. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people don't respect the culture. A lot of rappers don't respect the hip-hop culture. I went to Rock the Bells yesterday, by the way, and I stayed there for a little bit because I don't want to I just seen KRS-One, Rakim, and Big Daddy Kane perform. Because there was one of my best MCs that I like to listen to. Even if I see them on stage plenty of times. You didn't have to give me a date and time to listen to these hip-hop heads. Because I got what it takes to be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? To be and blow up in the industry, it's very hard to be in the rap game, You just got to have man talent. You have to have the swag when you surf. But it shit ain't even like that. You know what I mean? The only thing I like about hip-hop is the craft. Not about the girls. Not about the cars. Not about the money. Not in the other messed up situation that I'm going through for my own goddamn self, A lot of rappers are not going to respect anybody because most of y'all mumble rappers don't sound pretty good at what the hell y'all be thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because people are going to hate. People are going to keep hating and hating what type of hip-hop you want to listen to or don't want to listen to. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have different tastes in life. We all know this. We all know this for a fact. How many of y'all like the old school? How many of y'all like the hip-hop underground that they have up to date? How many of y'all people be listening to that real stuff? How many of y'all be listening to all the old school performances and, you jumping up down like a seesaw? We all know that you really do. And I understand for a fact, the hip-hop game is getting more violent nowadays. They talk about women, sex, killing people, effing all these chicks, and don't really give a damn about, they mumble rap, the beats are too loud than the vocals, you can't hardly hear anybody, you can't even talk to anybody. They walk around with the gatekeepers, the bodyguards, the security. You know what I'm saying? It's all like in the industry. Because some of these rappers don't respect the culture. Most of them don't, and most of them do. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody goes left, right, up, down, in and out when it comes to hip-hop. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you this. Hip-hop doesn't involve the whole world. There's other genres that involve the whole world besides hip-hop. It could be rock, jazz, R&B. It could be country, bluegrass, whatever genre they like listening to in their own lives. You know what I'm saying? Most people like the oldies from CBS FM 101.1. Some people like to listen to a lot of good stations from the satellite to the regular iHeartRadio app. Like listen to classic rock, like old school stuff that we grew up on when we were kids in the beginning of it. If you was born like in the 70s or 60s or 50s, you was there for that whole culture. If you was born in the 1960s, you was there to be a 50-something-year-old rapper or 60-year-old rapper that try to get on the mic and spit one of his stuff. Like you watch a lot of Dr. Seuss documentaries, or you were watching Ramen Reason documentaries, or any hip-hop documentaries that you recommend listening to for your own lifestyle. You know? Hip-hop had the fashion from going to Dapper Dan and buying the clothes over there. How many of y'all rappers remember Dapper Dan? How many of y'all remember all these cats that had the fashion, the coats, the leather jackets, the Pellies, the Rockawares, and the Fubu? You know, a lot of rappers was rocking something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because that was part of the whole culture of the hip-hop genre. We all know the cassette tapes were out back in the day. You had a blank cassette tape and taping songs that were off the radio. How y'all remember these things? And how y'all remember the CDs? I remember this. How you remember this? How many of y'all remember the mixtapes that we used to bump back in the day? How many of y'all remember these blank tapes? How many of y'all remember that? Do you know what I know? Okay? How many of y'all remember this? How many of y'all remember the vinyls? How many remember this is not Serato, people. This is not Serato. These are hip hop. No, they're not hip hop or nothing. These are two turntables with a record player, cassette tape, and a CD player that we used to have back in the past. Now they had a Bluetooth in it, and you could be very wirelessly of what you do from playing music. You know what I'm saying? That was our first original technology, was the record players, the cassette tapes, and the CDs. That was our original technology before Apple Music was out and before all the platforms were like rocking back in the day. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about for the whole culture that I recommend on this Funkable Operator podcast that y'all be checking out from the episode from 43 or 42 or whatnot. This is not a test. It's understandable about like watching the Warrior movie from Coney Island and watching Beach Street or Wild Style from the amphitheater in the park. Well, shout out to my boy Fat Five Freddy. I remember he produced the Yo MTV Raps back in the 80s and early 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like watching Ralph McDaniels on Video Music Box. You know, there was rappers like Finesse and Sequence. You had JJ Fad. You had Salt and Pepper. You had LA Star. You had all these female rappers that came in the game. The first one ever was like really Sha Rock. Sha Rock was the first MC that ever really put that work in from doing that, from being from the Funky Four plus one more. You know what I'm saying? The first white female rapper that was out was Blondie. Just listen to that record Rapture when she shouted out Fat Five Freddy. You can call Blondie a rapper if you want, because she was the original white female rap that ever existed. You know what I'm saying? Like To The Beat and all that stuff. And the Bubble Bunch, rest in peace to Jimmy Spicer, rest in peace to Frosty Freeze, okay, rest in peace to Biz Markie, rest in peace to DJ Mr. C. That was Big Daddy Kane's DJ, as y'all know. Even if I'm talking about your youngs want to come up here and learn a little something about hip-hop history, let me know. People are younger than me, just join my live. I don't really care who you are and how you handle your own situation. You gotta have the propaganda to spit like a better rapper. Shout out to the Skinny Boys, okay? The Jotbox Brothers. How y'all doing, man? How y'all brothers doing? I remember I saw y'all at the Grand Concourse on hip hop's 50th anniversary. Y'all really showed me a lot of love and respect. I never forgot about that, brothers. You know what I'm saying? I never had your cassettes because I don't really remember y'all like that. I heard y'all when I was listening to like that old school, like the Weightless album. I remember listening to the Fat Boys back in the day when they had Buffy, Prince Marky D, and Cool Rock Ski. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of rappers that I know that been there and done that. I never got to meet Prince Marky D. I never got to meet Buffy from the Fat Boys. The only one I met was Cool Rock Ski. Two of them are resting in peace. You know? How y'all remember Houdini, Ecstasy, my man, from and Jalil and the other guys that did that record, The Freaks Come Out at Night, or 5 Minutes of Funk. You know, like the introduction, the intro to the Video Music Box, the way it was from that 5 Minutes of Funk instrumental beat. Everybody knows about that Video Music Box intro. And it was a dope intro because I enjoy watching the intro of the show when Ralph McDaniels was on Video Music Box. But you know, I've been there, I've done that. I've been at events everywhere. Y'all know where I've been at these days. I've been in a lot of hip hop places, but sometimes I won't be feeling the vibe to go because of the weather. You know what I'm saying? You have an outdoor concert and it's very cloudy outside. Why even bother going to have a concert in the rain? Why? I couldn't go to the Chirac concert. I couldn't make it over there because of the weather. It was drizzling outside, and then like later on during the day it stopped raining, the sun was shining. You know, there's a lot of situations with me, depending on my own self, that I'm doing it for the culture. Even like back in the day, I wore the red, black, and green beads, and people thinking I was a racist, people think I was a gang member. No, it wasn't like that. I was doing it for the culture. Okay, I was doing it for the culture back in the past. Don't be hating on that. Okay, I'm not a racist. I like the hip-hop black culture because hip-hop started from black people, like the Africans and the Jamaicans, you know, and the black people that like listen to rap. Hip-hop came from the Africans and the Jamaicans, and then later on the Latinos came in with Prince Whipper Whip and Joe Gonzo and Charlie Chase. You know what I'm saying? All those people that Grandmaster Caz like seen. You know, like Sal Apatello with the freestyle when he started listening to rap. I used to like Sal Apatello back in the day when he had the Fever. How do y'all remember that? How many of y'all remember the Fever back in the past? The Fever when they had Run DMC, Salt and Pepper, Curtis Blow, and etc. Rest in peace to the Jam Master Jay. Rest in peace to the Fat Boys, except Cool Rock Ski. How do y'all remember the Jungle Brothers? How many remember the Native Tongues and all these dudes that were from like hip hop when it started in the Bronx? But there was one guy that was most forgotten about that doesn't get his respect and his props. But I know he has been dead in the early 90s, was Disco King Mario. How many of y'all remember that? How many of y'all been seeing rappers that always want to have their performance and flow on the mic and want to command the crowd from doing what they do best in their own lives? You know, I've been rapping on stage before with my lyrical bar flow. You know what I'm saying? I've been out before a lot of rappers did. I've been there before all these rappers were like, all these youngins like were born. You know what I'm saying? I've been there, I've done that. I've been a J Funkadelic advocate since day one. Like I remember recording 22 years ago. I even been J Funkadelic before I even been in the studio. Because I used to rock mics. I used to write my own rhymes and remember them on top of my brain. You know what I'm saying? That was before I went to a studio. You know what I'm saying? Recording some stuff. Making funky beats and dope lyrics. Put me out there. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about the industry. It wasn't about doing videos and having cars and money and getting the girls and having all this jewelry and bling bling. You know what I'm saying? That came later, like in the early 2000s. So why would I know about hip-hop being so icy like the Cash Money Millionaires from Baby, Lil Wayne, and, you know, Turk and Manny Fresh and Juvenile? You know, you get that picture. You know, like back in like in the late 80s, Public Enemy had a record that evolutioned the movie from the soundtrack Do the Right Thing with Spike Lee joint, and Fight the Power was one of the dopest records I ever heard before I even bought the album, The Fear of a Black Planet. I knew it was sitting on the shelf. I took the album, I bought it, played it in the car, bumped it loud in front in Westchester, by Nobody Beats the Wiz, and Tower Records and HMV, and all these other record stores that been out back in the day before they all closed down when the internet came out. You know what I'm saying? A lot of rappers gotta respect me. You don't respect me, y'all can eat a D or whatnot. But I can't curse on live anymore because I'm trying to keep it thorough to my own self, how I recommended. Hip-hop is a nation, hip-hop is a culture that you understand that people have hip-hop in school, they have it in classrooms, you know what I'm saying? They have their own studios, and, what do y'all think about Fat Joe? How he represents the whole hip-hop culture to the fullest. Born August 19th, 1970. Fat Joe was 6 years older than me. But it doesn't even make a difference. Even though, because sometimes Fat Joe might be into that trap and drill stuff. But when he don't know me that much and he don't see me that well, he says, I don't know you. Maybe he don't know me, but I know Fat Joe must have forgot his roots a tiny bit. But I know he's been to court. I know he was like something like a child molester, but I don't know that was true. Fat Joe was one of my main guys that I really like. A lot of y'all brothers and sisters be hating on Fat Joe. I remember he came out with the group called Ultimate Force. Okay, Fat Joe, the Fat Gangster, when he did the Flo Joe record. I respect Fat Joe when he was in that Lord Finesse video, Strictly for the Ladies, from Digging in the Crates with Diamond D and Big L and OC. You had a lot of people that was down with Digging in the Crates, like all these rappers that been there and did their thing with Lord Finesse. Lord Finesse is one of my dudes. I've seen in Buckchester a few times. But whatever happened to DJ Mike Smooth? I remember, when was the last time y'all seen DJ Mike Smooth? He probably was forgotten about. Y'all be sleeping on DJ Mike Smooth, because that was Lord Finesse's original DJ. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, shout out to my man DJ Polo. That was Coochie Rap's DJ. You know what I'm saying? DJ Polo was my man. I used to hang out with the brother, like in Donko Kiat in Queens. We took a picture with me and Polo. You know what I'm saying? And rest in peace, shout out to the original and TJ Swan. The one that sung the hook to Nobody Beats the Biz with the late great Biz Marquis. And shout out to my man Cool V and Roxanne Shante from the Rock the Bells radio stream that we gotta listen to nowadays because the Rock the Bells radio is strictly for the OGs. I've been listening to Rock the Bells a lot of times more than the other stations, like listening to Shade 45 or Hip Hop Nation from that trap stuff y'all be listening to. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people got different tastes. You're like 25 years old, you're like 20 years old. Nowadays, you be like in that mumble rap. Y'all be listening to that Sexy Red. Y'all be listening to that Young Jeezy. Y'all be listening to Drake. Y'all be listening to Nicki Minaj or Rick Ross or Lil Uzi Vert or somebody like Lil Nas X. You got to take it back to that era. You got to take it back. I know the music sounds kind of new, but what's new to you from listening to hip hop? If you like it from the mainstream or underground or any type of genre, y'all be getting it on with. You know what I'm saying? You got to respect this culture. I got a book I want to show y'all. Who remembers this book? The Gospel of Hip Hop, narrated by KRS-One. This is hip hop longevity right here. You know what I'm saying? The Gospel of Hip Hop, narrated by KRS-One. If you don't have this book, you're not hip hop to me, brother. You ain't got this, I don't know what the hell is wrong with y'all. Because if you don't respect rappers like this guy right here, he's the hip hop journalist, this guy. Sorry, he's a hip hop professor. For what I respect him, he's one of the goats to be goated in the hip hop industry. And y'all know about this book. I remember This book, yeah, I'm holding in my hand right now. That I'm showing y'all the gospel of hip hop. But there is one. I got another book to show y'all. Give me a second. How do you remember this book? The Book of Jose. It talks about like Fat Joe's life. Fat Joe's life from this book is like a real documentary, not the one you see on TV One. But you know, it was a good documentary. I liked the Fat Joe documentary. Ain't nothing wrong watch documentaries when they came on the come up from watching these documentaries and buying their own books. You know what I'm saying? Get this book if you want to, because I like it a lot. You know what I'm saying? How many of y'all remember about this one? I remember many of y'all remember about Rise of the Killer with Ghostface Wu-Tang. You know what I'm saying? This is a nice book that I got for Christmas. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the best books I ever bought my whole entire career. From seeing hip hop grow from Staten Island to the effing fullest. You know what I'm talking about. You know how crazy shit could be. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, I gotta give you another book to show you. I don't want to knock nothing down, but I'm trying to get my mind like fully equipped. Yeah, the Chuck D presents Rap and Hip Hop History. How do y'all remember these books? How do y'all remember the ways of walking to get these books to decide how we all love the hip hop culture? Rest in peace to Five Dog. You see Q-Tip. Okay. Respect this man right here. Respect this man, DJ Marley Marl, the one that put hip hop with Super Rock and Mr. Magic back in the day on WBLS. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of intensity in hip hop. Even if you're sad, angry, mad, or being gritty, instead of you shooting somebody in the street or hitting somebody with a baseball bat. You know what I'm saying? Because like Curtis Blow said, these are the breaks. Okay? Breaks in the bus, breaks in the car. Breaks to make you a superstar. Breaks to win and breaks to lose. And these are breaks to rock your shoes, because these are the breaks. Break it up, break it up, break it up. Okay. And there we go. You know what I'm saying? I got the Curtis Blow cassette tape. How y'all remember this? Kirk making moves. How many of y'all remember this cassette tape? Y'all be thinking about buying cassette tapes. You know what I'm saying? How do y'all remember this? Scarface the Untouchables. Scarface. This is from like in the late 90s. From Rap-A-Lot Records. Like Biggie once said, not from Houston, but I rap a lot. And how do y'all remember this? Souls of Mischief, No Man's Land. How do y'all remember this shit right here? How many of you have been talking about Souls of Mischief? How do y'all remember this one? Ice-T's rock album, Body Count. Okay? It features the record called Cop Killer. But it wasn't on all digital platforms. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? I studied a lot of elements, people. Okay? DJ Who Kid mixtape. Who had the blank cassette tapes. The ones that I used, the ones that were broken. You know what I'm saying? Talking about how I play rap, the way I really want to play hip-hop, that I'm noticing about the whole rap culture by storm. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to send you some vintage pictures of me. Like from back in the day. You know, way back when. Way back when. You know? This is a picture with my mother and father in Lewis. How do y'all remember that? How do y'all remember this? This is my sister Janine right there. But she's not really into hip-hop that much, but she's been very popular being on MTV back in the past. So, you know what I'm talking about. These are the black and white pictures. These are vintage pictures of all my ancestors. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about. You know you see my ancestor pictures. Let me show y'all again. My ancestors of J Funkadelic. You know what I'm saying? From my mother and father. And these are all my ancestors right here in these pictures. Dead or alive. It doesn't matter if they're alive or dead. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of ancestors that came from Italy because they came from Rome and the Italian culture of me eating spaghetti and meatballs or cooking Italian food like my parents been doing it for a very long time, even before I existed. Alright, y'all. I'm Jay Funkadelic, y'all. The Funkable Operator Podcast, episode 43, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.